Rightio, let's see how this goes. We've got a summary of all the access work we've done so far. If you remember, we started with tables, we then moved on to queries, forms, reports, and we've come back, we've looked a little bit more at tables, and recently we've looked at mail merge, which is not part of this particular revision worksheet. The worksheets that we got here is pretty much in line with what you're going to get in the tests, so this will hopefully help you on the way with that. Right. First thing is they want us to work with tables. Let's just have a look at quickly at our database that they want us to work with. There are two tables, table 1 and table 2. There's a query, there's an existing query, there's a payments form that's already there, and there's a report that's already there. Now they want us in the first question, if we go and have a look at it, there's several questions all relating to working with table 1. So we'll get into table 1, and it looks like we're going to work in the design view. Okay, if you right click, or if you go up to views over here, you can go into design view, and you're going to get a list of all the fields in the table. And obviously we're going to make some changes here, and let's just see what happens with that. Right, first one, change the properties of the surname field so that it can store a maximum of 60 characters. Surname, okay, it just says text. Where do I change this then? Well, then obviously we're going to have to look a little bit further down the screen and have a look to see what's actually going on over there and say, right, well, what we've got here is at the bottom is the name or whatever they wanted us to change. It's got to be the surname field, and it's text, and it must, the surname field, it's text, and they want us to change it to 60 characters. Okay, remember that this is the maximum number of characters that can be stored. You can store less, but you can't store more. So that's quite straightforward. So basically the major changes in terms of data types, etc. happen up here, and then all the customization happens down here. We select the field and we customize, or we pimp it up, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, let's go back there. Swap the order of the name and the surname fields without deleting any data. Remember, in a database, things get deleted. It's not a good experience because you can't get it back again. Okay, this if you just double click, it takes a bit of practice, but you can generally just shift it around, and there you can see surname and name. Okay, you can practice that a little bit, just kind of getting used to it with a mouse, so that's straightforward. Change the format of the DOB field. Okay, date of birth fields it displays in a general date format. Again, this is going to be a sort of customization. So the DOB field, and at the moment it's in a short date format, and we obviously want that to change into some other type of format. So what we do is we go and select what's available, and we go and see what's available, and they wanted general date. Okay, there's general date format, and there it is, changed to general date format that we've got over there. Let's just see what else we've got over here. Okay, so that's the general date format. That looks fine. Change the properties of the gender field so that the user can choose from a list of two values. Okay, remember we talked about the GIGO effect, garbage in, garbage out. So I've got an urge to scratch my nose. It basically says let's try and restrict the bad data from getting in, okay, the incorrect or the invalid data from getting into the database, because otherwise what we get out is not going to make any sense. And this is one of the ways, by restricting where there's a restricted number of values that you can choose from, for example M or F. Okay, we will be limiting ourselves to those two. Gender, okay, doesn't see anything here, but what we could do here is if we go to the lookup wizard and we run it, it'll give us an option to type in the particular values that I want the user to be able to choose from. So I'm going to say male, M for male, F for female, or the other way around, should you choose. Next. What label would you like? You don't need to finish that you're looking at there, and we can say right, finish. And you might say, well, nothing's happened here. I mean, we're back to text, yeah. But the lookup, if you go and have a look at it at the bottom, if we go look up the sort of customization, you will see that it's set up a value list, and then when you go into the data view, as we can see over here, oh yes, I do want to save the table, thanks. If we go into the data view for gender, I've now got an option, male or female. So that's quite cool. Okay, the dogs have started barking. Right, bit of a rough neighborhood this. Add a field called notes as the fifth field, which can store blah 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 blah. Okay, text fields can store 255 characters max. As soon as they use any indication that it has to be lengthy text or anything, you know it has to be a data type of memo. So it has to be the fifth field, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it kind of goes in there. We could just insert a row, and it has to be, what was it called again? Had to be called notes. Okay, and text won't suffice. So if we go look at text, the maximum field size, which is the default, is 255. So we need to go make that memo, and we're in business there. Add a primary key to the most appropriate field. Okay, primary key is a field where every value for that particular field has to be different in each record, and it can't be left blank. So something like an ID number would be a good choice, or a cell phone number, little sort of okay, but the ID number I think would probably be the best. And there is an ID number up there, so that's great. So we're going to make that the primary key. Okay, set that as the primary key. You see a little golden key appears over there. Surprise, surprise. Okay, set the default value. Okay, in some cases we know that we can expect the majority of new records to have the same value. So for example, if we're entering all the grade 8s into the school, the default value could be set to 8 because the majority of new records would be that. You can still change it, but it just saves you typing it in. Okay, so they want us to set the default value, and please note it's only for new records. It doesn't change any of the old records. Okay, so we need to go to the children's field, and it needs to change. Okay, so we need to do some type of customization. So that's going to be down here. Default value, nice and easy. It's 2. Okay, yeah. Add a validation rule to the children field so that the user cannot enter a negative number in the field and suitable validation text. Okay, let's tackle this one thing at a time. The validation rule. Validation rule is a way to specify which values can be entered. Okay, I'm going to emphasize that again. The validation rule is a way of specifying which values can be entered. So they're saying it can't be negative. So that's fine. We can say as the number of children field, we can say that the validation rule must be greater than 0. Actually equal to 0, hey? Because they could have no children. There we go. Okay, that's the validation rule. So that's preventing negative numbers being input over there. And if we needed to restrict it to say less than, okay, 100, yeah, that's quite frightening. Then the values will be between 0 and 100. Okay, and the validate, I'm just going to go back to our original question. Okay, and the validation text is the sort of warning or the error message that pops up if you make a mistake. In other words, you don't just say idiot, you tell them what's wrong. So you say, sorry, negative values are not required, but please try again, or something along those lines. Okay, get the idea there. Change the properties of the payment field so it displays in rands with no decimals. Again, yeah, some type of pimp my field. Let's go to the payment field. Payment field currency. At the moment it's in euro. Good heavens. Okay, let's just see what we can do then. We can change it here in the drop down box, and we want it to be currency, and we can specify the number of decimal places to be 0. Okay, so that will change any current values that are in there to rand. And we're getting near the end of question 1. Save the properties. There we go. Add an input mask. Add an input mask for the auditor code field. Okay, alright, so that's the field. It must consist of 3 capital letters. Okay, let's bear that in mind. At least 1 digit and an optional second digit. So it could be tax 89 or rob 6. In other words, it must be 3 capital letters. It has to be at least 1 digit, but it could be a second one. Okay, let's start in the right place first of all. Let's get the auditor code field. Auditor code field is there, and we want to set an input mask. Okay, the greater than is dealt with by putting, sorry, the capital letters is dealt with by the greater than sign, and compulsory letters 1, 2, and 3. Okay, it has to be 3 compulsory letters. Then there had to be a compulsory digit. Okay, so the L says to access. So the guy types in something, it has to be a capital. It has to be a letter. It'll automatically put it in capitals for you. Okay, so we've got three automatic letters that have to be put in, and we've got capital letters, and we've got a compulsory digit, but there can be an optional digit as well. Okay, there can be an optional digit as well, and that's the 9. Okay, so it's saying, right, has to be 3 letters, has to be another digit, but there could be a optional other digit. Oh, that's my dog's barking again. Okay, make it optional for a user to enter a value for the text num field. Oh my lord, World War III is broken out here. Bring out the zombies. Make it optional for the user to enter a value in the text num field. Optional. Okay, text num field. Okay, at the moment it says required to yes. So we're just simply going to change that. You can just click the drop down, or you can simply type in no. In other words, it's no longer required. And that's pretty much wrapped up question 1. It's largely to do with customizing fields, changing their properties, adding validation rules, that type of thing. And really, it's easy peasy stuff. I think I'm done.